Elevated Life Wellness family. I'm coming at you today. The time as I started this podcast was 11:11 a.m. and it's October 10th. So it's 11:11 on 10:10, and I'm just going to take a breath to acknowledge all those numbers lining up. I'm holding this space here for this podcast video. I'm coming at you today with some elevated health tips. So this is my fall health guide, Elevating Health the Ayurvedic Way during the autumn season. I haven't talked too much about Ayurveda on my podcast or in my videos, but I'm diving deeper into Ayurveda in my personal life and sharing about it in my yoga classes and my events. So starting to bring it to you guys. I was kind of hesitant to do it at first because Ayurveda is just this huge thing. It's this ancient health system. It's a sister science of yoga. It's over 5,000 years old. And I was hesitant to talk about it because I don't know everything about Ayurveda. And then I'm like, wait a second. Even experts don't know everything about Ayurveda, and I'm becoming an expert for my own health, and any little bit of information that helps me, I know it will help others. So I'm just being brave and sharing it with you. I haven't formally studied Ayurveda, but I have gone to an Ayurvedic yoga retreat. That's where I got my first exposure to Ayurveda. And I listened to a really great podcast called The Highest Self Podcast with Sahara Rose. She taught me a lot about Ayurveda. I have her book called Eat, Feel Fresh. And I've just, since becoming a mom and being postpartum, a lot of my personal self-care that I've been dedicating myself to, it turns out a lot of the practices I've been doing are rooted in Ayurveda. So I'm going to start sharing with you. So Ayurveda is an ancient health system, and it incorporates self-care practices, nutrition, and healing. A cornerstone of Ayurveda is that we are each made up of a balance of 3 doshas. Doshas are constitutions, they're mind-body types, and the 3 doshas are called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And we have all 3 of those, but some of them dominate at different times of our life. There's like general times, like my daughter is 2 years old. She is in a big Kapha stage of her life. As you know, babies and toddlers, they just soak in all kinds of information. They don't even know how to process it yet, but they're just taking everything in. It's slowness, although their bodies are really fast. It's a slowness, it's growing, it's nourishing. Then we go through a Pitta stage of our life after adolescence, when we become adults and we're kind of diving into our career, creating our own family, maintaining homes, all that stuff that we do in our grown-up life is definitely Pitta energy. And then as we get older and we start to slow down and just kind of go with the flow more, that's a more Vata stage of life. So it even happens with seasons throughout the year. So fall is a very Vata time of year generally. Now, I live in Mendocino County, California, and it's like one single day has all different seasons. Like this morning when I left my house, it was in the 30s, like 30 something degrees. There was ice on the roof of my car, And then just as I've been sitting out here, like I say, it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. The sun is so hot. I've had to layer down, and I know it's only going to get hotter later on today. That's just how it is in where I live in Northern California. And so every climate has their own kind of unique dosha constitution. But generally, the autumn is a time that brings in more cooler winds from the north. It represents space elements. It is cool, it is dry, and it is light. So autumn brings Vata energy. Pitta energy is hot. It represents fire and water elements. It's full of power, and it brings great change. So when we're doing transformation in our life, that is a Pitta type of energy that we have. And it's something to be aware of. And then Kapha energy is grounded. It represents earth and water elements, and it's slow and soothing and heavy. And winter is a big Kapha time of year when we're inside more, we're lighting candles, we're lighting fires, even though fire is Pitta energy, but just like sitting by the fire, like doing a crossword puzzle or whatever you like to do in the wintertime where you're just more sedentary, and eating heavier foods and staying really, really warm. That's all Kapha energy. So with these different doshas, they can be in balance and they can get out of balance. And so with the autumn season coming in the cooler air, we can tend to feel colder. One of my clients the other day was telling me, I'm so Vata, like my skin is really dry. And so we can do things to help bring our bodies back into a more balanced state. So here are some ways to balance out the Vata in your life. Vata energy within our body is all the things that our body naturally does without us telling it to do. Like when we get hungry and we need to eat, the way our digestive system works, when we use the bathroom, sleeping, all these things are Vata energy. So in order to help balance that out, we can support it by having consistent times for waking up in the morning, consistent times for going to the bathroom, for eating meals, and for going to sleep. This is my big challenge one. Consistent meal times and having a consistent bedtime. Some nights my Pitta energy is just going, and I want to be like up late working on my business or working on some projects, and Vata asks us to be consistent with that bedtime so that your body can do all that it does in the sleep session, so that when you wake up, you're refreshed and ready to move on. Creating and practicing daily rituals like cooking nourishing meals, lighting a candle, journaling, doing gentle movement, all those things support Vata energy. Notice in your body when you have dry skin, constipation, insomnia, anxiety, bloating. These are all symptoms of Vata energy, and it's all things to not have judgment for, but maybe you can alter your diet a little bit or do some self-care practices that bring more oil to your skin. So one thing that you can do is eat more warming foods like soups, squashes, grains, and greens. And an oil to use when you're cooking, especially in the autumn season, is really great for Vata energy. It's called ghee. It's a product of butter, but it's butter cooked down with the lactose removed. I actually don't even know what is removed. All I know that is something to look into, and that's something that I will definitely look into more myself. And I'm not even going to say what's happened to ghee to make it from butter. I'm actually have a bunch of butter in my fridge right now that I'm going to be making ghee. So after I make that, I'll be able to tell you more about exactly what the process of making ghee is. But what I do know is that it's really good for Vata constitutions. And me personally right now in my life, I'm Vata Pitta. So I have a lot of ideas, and then I'm also like executing a lot of ideas and making things happen. And I spent a lot of my life being super kapha. Like, I can lay in bed all day long and do crossword puzzles and play Sudoku and just chill. But I'm a single mom now of a toddler, and I hardly ever get to do that. So that's why my energy is not as kapha these days and is more Vata Pitta, like making things happen. Herbal teas are great for this time of year. Nettles makes a really delicious, nutritious tea. It has tons of vitamins, A, D, K. It has calcium and magnesium. It's one of those things where, like, if you might be having a day where, like, I don't have a lot of time to eat, but if you have some nettles tea is going to provide you with so much nutrition that it's just a very good thing to have on hand. I like to make a big batch on the weekend, and then have it to sip on warm, or like I'll make a strong batch of this herbal tea and then keep it in the fridge. And when I'm ready to drink some, I'll fill a mug halfway with hot water and then top it off with the herbal tea, and it just creates the perfect mixture. Another great herbal tea is called CCF. It's a staple in Ayurveda, and it's super easy to make. So go to your health food store and get in bulk cumin seeds, coriander seeds, and fennel seeds. And then take an equal amount of both of them. Like for me, if I'm making some where I have a container that'll hold like 8 cups of water, then I'll put in a couple teaspoons of each of those herbs. So a couple teaspoons of cumin, a couple of coriander, a couple of fennel. Top that all off with hot water, cover it, let it sit for a few hours, let it just steep, and let all the herbs release their terps and all the delicious nutrients from cumin, coriander, and fennel. And then same thing, save that tea. You can put it in the fridge and top it off with some hot water so that it's warm while you drink it. And so good. You have that to sip on during the week, and it's really going to support digestion and help you stay warm in the autumn season. Of course, staying warm is key. So have warm, comfy, cozy clothes to have on. Even if you live somewhere like me where it gets hot later in the day, make sure in the morning when you go out, you're not just like, oh, it's going to be hot later, so I'm going to wear like minimal clothing now. Like, no. Layer up, have some flannels or sweaters or sweatshirts that you really love, and like hoods and things that you can wrap yourself up in, warm socks. Don't skimp on being warm. Stay comfortable. Some self-care practices that you can treat yourself to an Ayurvedic way: dry brushing. So these brushes are readily available at health food stores. I see them a lot, and even like bath shops that have like body care products will often have dry brushes. It's usually like a wooden handle and then all these white bristles, and it's really good. Rub your body from the chest and the heart down, small gentle circles, gentle pressure, moving away from the heart, or maybe moving toward the heart. That's one I'm gonna have to check into myself. So just being conscious, like actually, yeah, I would start, okay, so start like, say you're doing your arms, start down by your hand and your wrist, and then move the brush in slow circular motions coming up toward your heart. Yeah, scratch that, what I said about moving away from the heart. When you're dry brushing, move toward the heart. So starting at the ends of your limbs, like the ankles, come up the calf and the thigh. Just be tender around your belly. Might not need as much of the brushing. You can also create a homemade body scrub. Avocado oil is a great one to use for this. So get some avocado oil and get some high quality salt. I like Himalayan salt, and an essential oil. So I have an essential oil right now. It's rose essence. Rose on its own is super pricey and very, very potent. So I have one that's blended with jojoba oil. So take a little container, like a reusable container, put some salt in it, top it off with some avocado oil, and then a few drops of whatever essential oil that you like. Make sure that it's one that's going to be warming and nourishing and also safe to use on your skin. And then stir that up. And when you're in the shower, take some of that and same thing, rub it on your body in small circular motions, going starting at the end of your limbs and then moving up toward the heart. Get your heart area really good. You can get your whole chest. This one you can get your belly, your back, anywhere you can reach. If you do it on your face and your neck, just be real gentle with the scrubbing, and it's more just like very soothing. And take a hot shower with this. Let the salt come off and then the oil stays on. So when you get out of the shower, you're like glistening and you're silky and you've got this really beautiful oil and you smell delicious. And that's just one of my favorite self-care practices that I do whenever possible. And another just like super simple thing is don't turn on the light in the bathroom when you're taking a shower at night. If you're doing this self-care practice at night, light a candle in there, and just the dimness, the quietness, the stillness, it all supports the self-care. So we talked about eating warming foods and bringing warm moisture into your life. At the other end of the spectrum, like it's not summer anymore, so we want to have less of salads, things that are really cold like smoothies, things that are dry like crackers, cookies. Like this is not really the time of the year for those kind of things. So these are all just ways to elevate your health the Ayurvedic way during the autumn season. And once again, I haven't formally studied Ayurveda. These are just tips and tricks that I've picked up over the years of diving into my own personal Ayurvedic practice. I do hope to formally study Ayurveda more. But this is where I'm at right now, and I'd love to share it with you. And I'm always so happy when I share these things with my clients and they're like, yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I want to like get more into that myself. It's awesome. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you already do some of these things or that you are inspired to try some of these things as a way to care for yourself, which helps you really be who you want to be in this world. Thank you so much. Nourish yourself today. Drink a lot of water. Drink herbal teas. Have some soup. Namaste. Peace.